Okay, we have discussed about the Britishers. Okay, the Britishers' policy towards the peasants, the family, means the rulers, uh, the Mughal rulers. Okay, so the Britishers' attitudes towards the Indians. Okay, we have discussed the causes for the outbreak of the revolt of 1857. Okay, and we have discussed many causes for the outbreak of this revolt, the loss of power, okay, of the Nawabs, then the peasants. Okay, the peasants were not happy with the high taxes and the rigid methods of revenue collection. Then also we have discussed about sepoys. Okay, the sepoys, they passed many laws that hurt the religious sentiments of the sepoys. Okay, do you remember, children, all this?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the belief among the sepoys? Okay, they believed that if they crossed the sea, they would lose their religion. Okay, they would lose their religion and caste. So in the year 1824, the sepoys were asked to, okay, asked to go to Burma by sea route. Okay, then most of the sepoys, they refused this order. They were ready to go by land, but the means the sepoys, those who resisted against this, were severely punished by the Britishers. Okay, so in the year 1856, the company passed a law. Okay, what was the law? It was mandatory, it was compulsory for a sepoy to agree to serve overseas if it is required. Okay, so most of the sepoys were not happy with their salary, with their allowance, with their working condition. Okay, so this the most of the sepoys, they were started revolt. Okay, and also we have just discussed about the reforms. Okay, see, children, the Britishers, okay, they took several steps to reform the society. Okay, and the new laws were passed against the practice of sati. Okay, sati was practice prevalent among the Hindu religion. When a husband dead, the wife has to commit suicide. Okay, on his funeral fire. That was meant by sati. So when the Britishers, when they were here, they banned. Okay, they passed a law against this practice. Okay, and a law also was passed to encourage widow remarriages. Okay, even sati was not practiced by by the ladies, okay, by the widows. Their life was entirely miserable. They were not allowed to remarry. Okay, they were not allowed to remarry, and even they were not allowed to any attend any public functions. Okay, so here the Britishers, they considered all this, okay, as very primitive customs or superstitious customs and idea. So they passed a law against the practice of sati, and also they encouraged widow remarriages. Okay, then the next, so the first point, practice of sati. Okay, they passed law against the practice of sati. See, children, not only the British officials, even some of our leaders, okay, Raja Ram Mohan Roy and all, they also struggled against this practice. Okay, against this practice. So the Britishers banned sati. Then second one, they encouraged widow remarriages. Okay. Then they also promoted the English language. That means they discarded Sanskrit and Arabic languages. Sanskrit and Arabic languages, and they promoted English language education. Okay, so that also many of the Indians believed that it would destroy the culture of the Indians. Okay, so many of the Indians believed that if a woman or or a girl or a boy, if they study, if they learned English language, it would destroy our culture. Okay, so these all these all laws made by the Britishers was it was good. Okay, but the Indian people, okay, they won't believe then they always believed in their tradition, their culture, so they don't like all these events that has happened during this time. Then the next important point was that Christianity. Okay, see children, Christianity was introduced by the French people. Okay, French people brought Christianity over here in India, and the Britishers, okay, the Britishers, they were tried to promote Christianity. Okay, and the Christian missionaries were allowed to function freely. What do you mean by missionaries? Missionaries, those who preaches their religion. Okay, so the Christian missionaries were allowed to function freely, and even they could own land and property. So the Christian missionaries, they can come over here to our country, and they can own land and property over here in our country. So this all, okay, so the Britishers intention to promote Christianity, that also was not liked by the Indians. Okay, then in the year 1850, it is very important children, a new law was passed by the Britishers. It allowed an Indian who had converted to Christianity. What do you mean by conversion? Conversion to Christianity means that
Taking new
Changing to
changing the
change
religion,
another religion.
ah,
changing.
yes, change our religion. Means if by birth, if we belongs to Hindu or Christian, I mean, we can convert, we can change our religion. Okay, so here in the year 1850, the Britishers passed a law, okay, that allowed an Indian who had converted to Christianity, if someone is converted to another religion, he can inherit the property of his ancestors. That means after his father's death, the property it will be given to him. Okay, so in the year 1850, a new law was passed. Okay, according to this law, if any person, okay, if he is converted to Christianity, he can inherit the property of his father, okay, for of his ancestors. So anyone, if means by this law, it was very easy for everyone to convert into Christianity. Okay, so children, listen to me, what all reforms this Britishers introduced here in our country. The first point, they passed a law, okay, they passed a law against the practice of sati. They banned sati. Okay, then the Britishers encouraged widow remarriages. Okay, widows were not allowed to remarry during that time. Their life was entirely miserable. They are not given permission to means even to work, or even they were not educated. So their life was miserable. So the Britishers, they passed a law to encourage widow remarriages. Okay, then the next one, the Britishers, they discarded Sanskrit and Arabic languages from the schools. Okay, they removed Sanskrit and Arabic from the school, and they promoted English language education. Okay, so these all reforms made by the Britishers were not taken in a good sense by the Indians. They believed that it would destroy the culture. Okay, it would destroy the culture and tradition of the Indian people. Okay, so they did not like all these reforms. And another important point was Christianity. Okay, Christianity was encouraged by the Britishers. um, they a new law was passed. Okay, that according to that law, any person, if he is converted to Christianity, okay, he can inherit his father's property, okay, his ancestral property. So they promoted Christianity. So all these actions or all these reforms by the Britishers were not taken in a good sense by our people, okay, Indian people. So a feeling was developed among most of the Indians that the Britishers were trying to destroy our religion, customs, and traditional way of life. Okay, so many of them protested. Many of them wanted to protest against the Britishers. Okay, so the social reforms also played a very important role in this one. Okay, Hira, can you tell me which all reforms they were made? Can you explain the first point?
They banned Sadi.
They banned sati. Okay, what was sati? Alan, can you hear me? Okay, Jeff, what
Ma'am,
is sati?
can you explain once more?
Who is this?
Ma'am,
Huh?
can you say once more?
What do you mean by sati? See, children, many reforms were made by the Britishers. Okay, the first they passed or they banned, okay, passed a law against the practice of sati. What you mean by sati? Jeff, tell me. Have you heard this term? Sati.
Yes.
What is it? Hmm? I think his video it becomes stuck. Anugrah?
If the husband
Hmm.
die,
If the husband
the
died, wife
woman
also has
the
to
wife have to
commit.
also suicide,
Yes,
commit suicide.
yes, on his funeral fire. So it was a custom prevalent among the Hindu people. Okay, so many of our Indian leaders also reacted against this evil system. Okay, but it was means it the Indians were not ready to obey. Means they wanted to follow or practice the customs. So the Britishers they passed a law to ban sati. Okay, but it was not taken in a good spirit by the Indian people. Okay, then the second one, widow remarriages. Okay, widow remarriages. Widows were not allowed to remarry till that time. Okay, so the Britishers, I have told you, children, even the life of widow, it was hard and miserable. Okay, it was very hard and miserable. So there is someone means needed to take care these widows because they were no one there to take care that widows. So remarriages. Okay, so the Britishers passed a law that allow widows to remarry. Okay, then Anantida, what is the next reform?
They discarded the
Ah,
Sanskrit
yes.
and
They
Arabic
removed
language.
Sanskrit and Arabic from the schools and colleges, and they introduced
English
English
language.
language education. Okay, then the next is um, Rudra.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, what is the next reform they tried to, or what is the next action the Britishers were done? Banned sati, allowed widow remarriages, promoted English languages. All these we discussed now. Then, hmm? Christianity. Yes. Okay. They tried to encourage Christianity. So, conversion, if anyone is converted to Christianity, they can inherit their ancestral property. Okay. They can inherit their ancestral property. So all these actions or all these reforms made by the Britishers, the Indians felt that, okay, the Indians felt that it would destroy the culture. Okay, it would destroy the culture and religion, everything. Okay, so most of the people wanted to react against this. Okay, children, all these points are clear to you? Do I need to repeat any of the points? I'm not getting any response.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Then, yes. Now we will discuss the immediate cause for the outbreak of the revolt. Okay, so we have seen that a large section of the society, okay, they were not happy with the revolt and the instruments with their action, the policies of the Britishers. Many of the territories were under the control of the Britishers. They introduced many policy that hurt the sentiments of the people. Now we will discuss the immediate cause for the outbreak of the revolt. Okay, see children, Mangal Pandey, he was a young soldier. Okay, he was a young soldier of Barakpur, and he means I have told you about a new type of cartridges. Do you remember that, children? What was the problem with the new type of guns introduced by the Britishers?
It was having
It was covered with
with fat
Cows
of
and pigs.
fat of
it's
cow
fat.
and pig, right? So for the Hindus and the Muslims, it was for one section it was holy and the other one it was unholy. So most of the sepoys were refused to use the new types of cartridges. Okay, before it loading this bullet into the cartridges, they needed to bite it with their mouth. Okay, they needed to open with their mouth. So most of the sepoys were not ready to use this newly introduced rifle. So the Britishers were angry, and some of our sepoys, okay, the Indian sepoys reacted against to that. Okay, and one of the famous person who reacted against this newly means in rifle was Mangal Pandey. He was only 28 years old. Okay, so here I'll show you the picture. Mangal Pandey. Okay, and he was only 28 years old. Okay, he was from Barakpur. Okay, and he means he was not ready to use the newly guns introduced by the Britishers, because it was the new cartridges were coated with the fat of cow and pigs. Okay, so for the refusal to obey the order, so many of the sepoys were not ready to use this newly introduced rifle, and 85 soldiers were dismissed from the service. So the Britishers were angry and they dismissed 85 soldiers from their service. Many of them, okay, were sentenced to 10 years in jail. This incident was happened in the year 1857, yeah, May 9th. Okay, and before that, when this newly introduced rifle, when they were asked to use, Mangal Pandey also, he was not ready to use this one, and he had some quarrels with his British officers. Okay, he has some quarrel with his, he quarreled with his British officers, and he was hanged to death for this crime. Okay, he was hanged to death. He was executed by the Britishers. So this was the immediate cause for the outbreak of the revolt. Okay, that means Mangal Pandey was hanged to death for attacking his officers in Barakpur. Okay, because he was reluctant to use the newly introduced, means newly introduced rifle. Okay, so he attacked his British officers. He attacked the British officers at Barrackpore. So he was imprisoned and he was hanged to death. Okay, in the year 1857, March 29th. So this is the okay, this is the main or the immediate cause for the outbreak of the revolt. Okay, that means the execution of Mangal Pandey. He was only 28 years old. He was very brave and he refused to use the newly type of cartridges. Okay, and he attacked his British officers. So he was captured and he was imprisoned and at last he was hanged to death. Okay, so many of the sepoys, they were not happy. Even means till that time they were not happy. Already they were not happy with their salary, their the new laws that hurt their religious sentiments. Added to this was this new type of rifle. So these all are the reasons. Okay, these all are the reasons for the outbreak of the revolt. Okay, Mangal Pandey. Who is Mangal Pandey? A young soldier. Okay, he was a young soldier. Then he was he
Yes, ma'am.
attacked his British officers. Okay, because he was reluctant. He refused to use the newly introduced rifle. So he was attacked. He attacked the British officers. He was captured. He was imprisoned, and he was hanged to death. Okay, so this was the immediate cause for the outbreak of the revolt. Is it clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so then children, the revolt, okay, it has started in the year May 1857. It has started. Okay, then it threatened it. See, children, you know, the Britishers in the year 1502, Vasco da Gama has reached over here in our, means in India, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then they set up many trading companies. They were establishing their power over India. And after 100 years, okay, after 100 years, and we have got independence in the year 1947, right? Okay, just you think about this, children. From 1502 till 1947, how long these people were here? Hmm? So, means after when 1857 revolt, after 100 years, okay, after 100 years, the Britishers faced such a reaction. First time, the Indians reacted against the British authority. Okay, then it was started in Meerut. You know where is Meerut? Uttar Pradesh. Okay, UP. It was started and it just spread over to most large part of northern and central India, and people from different section of the society joined in this rebellion. Okay, then it as the biggest armed resistance to colonialism in the 19th century anywhere in the world. That means we know that the European countries, they made many of the Asian countries under their means under their control. Okay, they made many colonies, Asia, Africa, okay, and all. So this was the first and the biggest armed resistance from the Indians against the Britishers. So the rebellion, it was started in the year May 1857. Okay, then it started from Meerut, and a large part of north and central India took part. Okay, many people from all these areas were taken part in this revolt against the Britishers. Then, so children, they wanted a strong leader to lead them, right? Okay. See, Rani Lakshmi Bai, Nana Sahib, okay, all these important personalities, Tandia Top, okay, Tandia Top is the, so many leaders were there, but still they lacked a central leadership. Okay, a strong leader they needed. So they demanded or say they urged Bahadur Shah Safar. I have told you about Bahadur Shah Safar. Do you remember? Who was Bahadur Shah Safar?
The last Mughal
Yes,
emperor.
last Mughal emperor. Okay, so children, we have last year we have studied about Mughal empire and we have discussed about Aurangzeb, Shah Jahan, Jahangir. All these were Mughal emperors, but later on the Mughal authority began to decline. Okay, so the Bahadur Shah Safar, he was the last Mughal ruler. Okay, last Mughal ruler because they lost during the time when the Mughals established their power over India, they have taken control over many of the territories, many of the places. But later on, their power it is began to decline. Okay, so Bahadur Shah Safar, he was the last Mughal ruler. Okay, so sorry. Okay, so the Mughal dynasty ruled over a large part of the country for a long period. Okay, and most of the small rulers and chieftains had been ruling over their territories on behalf of the Mughal ruler. Okay, so they thought that if the Mughal ruler could once again resume power, they would also be to rule their own territories once again. Okay, and the Britishers had initially taken the revolt at Meerut quite lightly. They did not, the Britishers never expected such a reaction from the Indians. Okay, but the Indian people, the sepoys, they urged Bahadur Shah Safar to lead the revolt. Okay, then Bahadur Shah Safar, he gave support to the rebellion. Okay, it dramatically it changed the entire situation. Okay, so the people, the peasants, the Nawabs, then the sepoys, okay, everyone, I means everyone in India, they needed a strong leader and they demanded, okay, they demanded Bahadur Shah Safar to lead. Here you can see Bahadur Shah Safar. This is Lord Dalhousie, Lord Canning, Nana Sahib. Okay, so they demanded Bahadur Shah Safar to be the leader and they marched from Meerut. Okay, then on 10th May, this is very important, children, the soldiers marched to the jail and released the imprisoned sepoys. Okay, many sepoys, those who refused to use the new type of cartridges, they were arrested and imprisoned, right? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so yes, so they attacked the jail and they released the imprisoned sepoys. Okay, those who were captured by the Britishers, they were put in jail. They released them from the jail and they attacked and killed the British officers. Okay, so the revolt, it was started May 1857. Okay, then the soldiers proclaimed Bahadur Shah Safar as the leader. Okay, they urged Bahadur Shah Safar to lead the revolt. At first, he was not ready. Okay, at first, Bahadur Shah Safar, he was not ready or he was not willing to accept this challenge. But later on, he was ready or he agreed to this, the demands of the people. And he wrote many letters to the chieftains, okay, rulers to support the rebellion. And the rebellion, it started from Meerut and 10th May, the soldiers, they moved to the jail and released the imprisoned sepoys and they attacked and killed the British officers. Here you can see the picture. They were attacking the British officers. Okay, and they captured guns and ammunition. What do you mean by ammunition? Armed weapons. Okay, weapons. They captured guns and weapons and they set fire to the buildings and properties of the Britishers and they declared a war on the Firangis. Firangis means foreigners. Okay, so the Indian people, They were not satisfied with the policies of the Britishers. So the first time the Indians reacted against the Britishers. Okay, and it was started. The immediate cause for the outbreak of the revolt was the execution of Mangal Pandey and the refusal, okay, the refusal of the Indian soldiers to use the weapons, okay, the bullets, okay, the newly introduced rifle. So the revolt has started and they proclaimed Bahadur Shah Zafar, the last Mughal emperor, as the leader. At first, he was not willing to accept their demand, but later he agreed to the demand of the sepoys, and the sepoys, they were not happy with their situation. They marched from Meerut and they released the imprisoned sepoys. Okay, some sepoys, those who refused to use the newly type of cartridges, were arrested and imprisoned for 10 years. Okay, so they released them. What do you mean by released?
Take from the jail.
Ah, yes. Okay. They rescued them. Okay. And they attacked and killed the British officers, captured guns, okay, and ammunition. And they set fire to the buildings and properties of the Britishers. And they declared a war on the Firangis. Firangis was the term used to mention the
Foreigners.
foreigners. Yes. No, dear. Okay, children. So this was the beginning. Okay, now next class.
So,
Alan.
uh,
Hmm?
ma'am, the sepoys was taken to the jail.
Ah, yes, execution of Mangal Pandey. Okay, means many of the sepoys were not ready or they refused to use the rifle. Okay, newly
Rifles.
introduced rifle. Okay, and Mangal Pandey, he attacked his British officers. He attacked his British officers. He was captured and he was imprisoned. Okay, then he was hanged to
That's
death.
Death.
Okay, so that was the immediate cause for the outbreak of the revolt. Okay, then they released. Okay, the revolt means the people, they released the imprisoned soldiers. Okay, many of the soldiers, those who refused to use the newly introduced rifle, were captured or they were imprisoned for 10 years. Okay, they were imprisoned for 10 years. They released these sepoys and they attacked the police officers, British officers. They burned the records and they captured guns and ammunition. Okay, and they started or they declared war against the foreigners or the Britishers. Okay, is it clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Next class we will continue the spread. Okay, the rebellion spreads and what was the result of the revolution, means revolt. Means after the revolt the Britishers introduced many methods to control the power of the British Indians, because they never expected such a reaction from the Indians. Okay, so they tried to weaken the Indians, but still the Indians, they till that time I have told you, the trade India merely a trading concern, they gradually they took control or power over here in India. Okay, because the Indian rulers were fighting with each other, right? There was no unity among the Indian people. So, but after the revolt, many of the Indians, they were united and they were doing something. Okay, they united to do something against the British.